Chris, after Paul the Octopus at the 2010 Football World Cup, world sport has been waiting for a worthy successor. And congratulations on predicting a 2-1 scoreline as well as a rain-marred test match.
Trust me, I was as surprised that my prediction came off as anyone. Not because India won the series, but because I sort of predicted what was going to happen, that they won 2-1. And one of the tests was going to be rained out. So it was pretty cool. But look, it was fantastic for India to create history in Australia. To put that one thing that I guess has concerned not only the Indian cricket side and management, but also Indian cricket fans, that they struggled to win away from home. And to beat Australia in Australia, well, that was a massive, massive feat. And it sort of highlights what I've been talking about for 2 years, how this Indian side, I think, have got all bases covered, with the seam attack, the spinners, the top order now, firing in foreign conditions. I think the rest of the world needs to look out, because this Indian side is on the way up, and they have just proven they can win away from home as well.
Chris, just to put this into context for our viewers, Indian head coach Ravi Shastri calls this series win more valuable to Indian cricket than the breakthrough 1983 World Cup victory. 2011 World Cup winner Virat Kohli has termed it the biggest achievement of his career. Perhaps a bit over the top in terms of those remarks, but winning a test series in Australia is still one of the hardest things to do in world cricket, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is, and it's a huge result. And I think what they mean is a one-off event. Those World Cups are always going to be special and remembered in Indian history. But this was, I guess, getting a bit of a monkey off their back. We know how dominant and how superior they are at home, and how their ability to win cricket matches has been unbelievable in the last few years. But to win a test series away from home, never been done before by an Indian side in Australia, is very, very special. And I think I've talked about how good this side is for the last couple of years, and I think this just shows just another development and that next step that they needed to take to not only show how good they were at home, but also to show how good they were in very foreign conditions. And I think that's what Australia is. It offers a lot more pace and bounce, very different to what they're used to. The other such pleasing thing for Indian fans and for myself was there's been such reliance on Virat Kohli to get the majority of the runs, but so many other players throughout this test series, especially with bat in hand, put their hands up at crucial times. Obviously, Pujara, we're going to talk about him, I'm sure. Absolutely magnificent series, just so dominant in every test that he played in. And also the bowlers, when India needed to get wickets, even when Australia got good starts, so many people put their hand up. The seam attack for India was outstanding, and when the spinners were called on, they did a magnificent job.
You mentioned the bowlers, Chris. Critics will point out that Australia were weakened, that there was no Steve Smith and David Warner in the team. But India did boss the big moments, didn't they? We had spoken about the Aussie batsmen, inexperienced as they might be heading into this series, but they did boast significant averages at home before the series began. No hundreds for them though, and India managing to pick up all 70 Australian wickets over the 7 completed innings.
Yeah, well, the thing that was obviously people, as you said, talk about Warner and Smith, but look, that doesn't affect their bowling attack. Their bowling attack was at full strength, and it was the ability for the Indians to blunt that bowling attack and then to make them suffer as, the new ball lost its shine. I think India largely have got Pujara to thank for that, not only for the amount of runs that he scored and the magnificent series that he had, but the way he was able to blunt that new ball, get through and bat for the amount of times and the period of time that he did, made it so much easier because of the great work he had done for the middle and lower order to really punish the Australians. And so Warner and Smith not playing obviously makes it a little bit harder for the Australian batting lineup, but didn't affect their bowling lineup. And as you said, then the Indian bowlers, really put pressure on this somewhat younger and inexperienced Australian batting lineup, but let's not kid ourselves, they're still a very, very strong side, and all of those players have had success in their short test careers. So look, it was just a brilliant all-round performance, so clinical, and by me it was expected. By a lot of other people it was unexpected, on the harder, faster bouncier wickets. And I think, as you said earlier, that's why Kohli and others have said that it's such a big thing for Indian cricket, almost as big as their World Cup wins.
Chris, you know, on the face of it, you can't compare Stark, Cummins and Hazelwood with the trio of Bumrah, Ishant Sharma and Mohammad Shami. Yet the Indians bowled to a plan, they kept probing, and in the end, would you say that they outperformed the hosts, especially with the old ball? And, you know, just to sort of take that point forward, it's a real testament to how much this bowling unit has grown over the last 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's their seam attack as well. I mean, India's always been renowned for their quality of spinners, but, you know, it was their seamers that helped set up this victory. Bumrah, you know, he's had a brilliant start to his Test career, and the way that he bowled, I mean, he pretty much led this seam attack. Shami, we knew was going to be, you know, a handful and was going to do a good job, and he absolutely did, and took crucial wickets and took a couple of bagger wickets as well. But Bumrah, for me, every time he bowled, whether it was with the new ball or the old ball, always threatened and always looked like he had the opportunity to pick up wickets. Sharma as well, obviously didn't play in this Test match, but bowled very, very well. And then obviously the three spinners. I mean, Ashwin looked quality in that first Test match, and then others got their opportunities. Jadeja came in and did a great job, and then Yadav, obviously in the last Test, showed his quality. And it was on a wicket that wasn't particularly quick and didn't take a lot of spin, but he was able to abstract more spin than any other spinner playing in the match. And he, even though he bowled quite slowly and on a slow pitch, it's difficult to go through top quality sides. He just showed that on any surface he's got to be a handful for many years to come for many sides.
Okay, one final question then, Chris. We've seen in the recent past that all teams struggle to win overseas. India have come out of their year of travels with Test wins in England and South Africa, and now a series win in Australia. Does it underline their credentials as the best team in world cricket right now, and perhaps one that can dominate like the great West Indian and Australian teams of the past?
Sorry, I certainly believe so. I've been saying it for a couple of years. I think teams have got to really start to watch out, because this, as I said, this Indian side, their strength for me is their all-round ability. Their quality now, their quality seam attack. I think that was a big reason that they've struggled winning Test series overseas, but with the quality of seam attack that they've got now, which not only matches other teams, but perhaps we'd arguably say the way they're playing at the moment is better than most bowling's seam attacks going around. So that's a huge plus. Then you've got the ability now of the batsmen and the quality and the ability of them scoring runs in all conditions, not only in, you know, in India, but, you know, players scoring like massive runs away from home as well. And then, as I said, I've talked about it all, you know, the spin. And I think Kohli's growing as a captain. I think some of his captaincy decisions and some of the plans he came up with, I don't think he got much credit for. And I think he was a big part of the success as well, not just his own runs, but his captaincy as well. I really like some of the things that he did. You know, he got carried away a little bit in the early days. That was, you know, that was him just showing the emotion and how much it meant to him. But to his credit, he calmed down a little bit after that, got his emotions a wee bit more in check, and I think he'll learn from this experience, and I think he did a wonderful job from a captaincy point of view. So, look, as you said, they won a Test match in England, they won one in South Africa, they've gone the next step, now they've created history, won a Test series in Australia. This Indian side is going to go from strength to strength. But, look, we can't get carried away. We can't expect them every time they go overseas now they're going to win. But this is a massive step forward, and they are going to challenge most sides around the world in any conditions the way they're currently playing.
Yes, 4 overseas series wins now under Virat Kohli for Team India from 8 played. On that note, Chris Harris, thank you so much for your inputs and analysis all through this Test series. It's been a pleasure, and of course we look forward to speaking to you later this week to build up to the one-dayers.
Brilliant Test series. Look, one player we didn't mention, and I want to just before we end, was Pant. I mean, you know, exciting new keeper, and his ability with the bat as well. Love the way he plays. He's a real find for India.